We ready to turn up. Hold on.
Yeah.
Y'all ready for this?
All right. I'm super excited to be interviewing DJ SakeOne. I actually heard you play last year at Page Boy Salon. It might have been.
Oh, yeah. With Rashida.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great party.
I think that was one of my first times watching a full vinyl set.
Yeah.
And it blew my mind away because, you know, so much of the DJing landscape I'm in right now, it's everyone playing music that's familiar to people. Like, it's about the songs that people already know, and it's not really about music discovery. As soon as I heard your set, you know, I looked you up on Instagram. I know Zuri, so I saw that you guys overlap. You guys have a big fun together, and so I saw all of that, and I was shout out Zuri, very cool person,
great DJ.
So I saw all that, and I remember thinking, it seems you're very good at dropping hits that they're deep cuts, right? They're deep cuts that people may or may not know about. Is for the music lovers. How did you build that up over the years?
That's a great question. It's hard for me to answer this question without sounding like I'm giving younger DJs advice. But I probably kind of am. But feel free to advice is always convenient. It's free to take. It's also free to ignore. I really think my path to not just discovering new music. And again, I've been DJing 30 years, so that covers records. Really, for the most part, major labels control what music came out to where we're at now, where it's anybody pretty much with a Wi-Fi connection can put music out. So it's much more music is out now. It's way more democratic, and also arguably because of the democracy of it, the quality maybe is a little up and down, or I wouldn't even want to say quality because that sounds pejorative. There's just so many micro genres, Yeah. For me, really the way that I cut my teeth as a DJ who breaks records is, the confidence. It takes time to build the confidence in your ear because every DJ is going to be man, this song is dope. Why isn't anybody else playing it? I'm going to play it at the party. Mm-hmm. You're this one is shit. You play it. And everyone's this song sucks. I'm going to go to the bar and get a drink. And that's the moment for a DJ when you got to be do I try it again? Or maybe is my ear not where other people's ear is at? Or am I hearing something? And if I'm hearing something in the song that other people aren't hearing, what do I do then? And that's where you get into editing or remixing and taking the essence of what the song is good and making it more appealing. And I think you were referencing now, there's so many, it's there's a canon of 500 songs, whether it's an edit or a remix. And a lot of DJs are playing the same shit. But the second part, aside from sort of having the confidence to break records and also knowing when, do you break a record at 1 a.m. when it's peak of the night, or do you break it at 11 p.m. when people are sort of they're not drunk, their ears might be a little open, they're not slow grooving with somebody they got a crush on, so that a new song is going to mess that up. It's kind of reading all those things in and being also using the mic. I'm about to play a song y'all don't know, but I love this song. Yeah. Just that. It's just imagine if you're talking to someone, it's getting consent kind of almost it's you might not be asking permission in a true way, but you're kind of letting people know that this is something I'm gonna do, and so it kind of gives them an awareness so they're not caught off guard. There's that. The second part is developing your own brand. For me, it was parties. It was building parties, whether it was Feel Good with my girl May Lee, Pacific Standard Time with my boy Los. Ultrawave with DJ Fuse. These parties that I built were really about a space where we define the sound. So people aren't just coming to the venue, they're coming to hear you and they know what you play. And it's a slow build. It's not going to happen overnight, because if it happens overnight, they're not going to be coming for the music. But there are songs that people hear to this day, they're man, that's a PST ass song. You used to play that at Soul Luna. And that's when you know, because the song is connected to the party and to the vibe and to the community of people that really make the party. Because it's not you, it's the community. And if you are sharing, it's like a potluck. If I bring a tuna casserole and nobody's eating that shit, then it's I can't. But the potluck was a success. I can't be man, I made that potluck. You got to bring a recipe that works. And the DJ is bringing loud music that makes people feel good, but also dysregulates people's nervous systems. And people are drinking. And some people are survivors of trauma. There's so many things going on in a nightclub space. And a DJ, in my opinion, needs to keep all those things in mind and make the place safe and fun and enjoyable, and really put their stamp on what resonates with them musically. And that can include ideas, that can include lyrics, that can include music from parts of the world that people don't listen to, that can include taking words out of the song that might offend or trigger people. There's lots of different ways you can do it. It isn't strictly the song. And I'm sorry it's a long ass answer, but I feel pretty pretty passionate about this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the two things are like putting your stamp on songs and sounds that you feel confident in, and building events. And again, it doesn't need to be a club. That was my path. But you can do mixtapes, you can do live streams, you can do Instagram reels where you're sharing songs and being like, hey y'all, I just heard this song. Nobody's up on this artist. Nobody's up on this genre.
Yeah.
I follow hella DJs from around the world that are playing genres of music I don't know about because I want to learn about it. Even after 30 years, I'm still like, whoa, I don't know about this kind of music that's popping off in Serbia, you know? So there's way more ways now and way more avenues to sort of like get music that you love heard. That's how I would do it. But that's how I've been doing it.
I appreciate that. You mentioned the work that goes into defining your own sound. You'd have different parties, people would reference those. I think it points to like the idea of when everyone can come up with their own definitions of music, that's where you kind of find like your path, your tribe, like your alignment, right? When you're able to put a voice to that.
Yeah.
When do you think you were able to define your own voice? And is that something you question? How often do you think you reinvent yourself as a DJ?
That's a good
Those
one.
are really good questions.
Wow, that's deep.
One thing that popped in my head while you were asking that question, which is partially an answer, is I didn't define myself alone. I don't think any of us, I'm trying to speak for myself here, but I feel pretty strong about this. I don't think any DJ defines their sound alone. Like, most of what we think of and understand of as dance music in the United States comes from the Black experience and Black creators and Black artists.
So true.
And so I think it can be tricky to be like, well, I'm this individual DJ with my sound and I define it. And I know that's not what you're saying, but I think it's important to say that because for me, I started with a DJ crew, and in the 90s, that was really the way to come in the game. And the DJs to this day that I really like admire and respect and kind of like click with are DJs that come out of kind of a collectivist mentality, whether it's a community or really in terms of DJing, there's the sound system culture, which comes heavily out of San Francisco and the Bay, where DJs would bring their own speakers and their own equipment to like an empty space because we didn't have nightclubs like that out here, like New York or maybe even like London or LA, where DJ culture was popping off in the 80s. And also the DJ crew collective, where you share the work, where it's really a collective of like who's bringing the speakers, who's getting alcohol, who's making a flyer. And my crew, Local 1200, defined how I saw DJing, and initially was like, well, how do I stand out within this crew, but also work as a member of the collective? Not even stand out, sort of like, how do I maintain my individuality as a DJ and not play with the other DJs that are playing? Well, I'm gonna play this Too Short song tonight. Damn, Willie Mays played it. What am I gonna do now? You know, and we're at a house party, I gotta keep it lit. So I feel like out of that collective effort to create events and spaces, whether it's a DJ crew, whether it's a social justice movement or a social movement of any kind, whether it's a house party, whether it's a birthday party, any space a DJ might be called upon to play music, I feel like you define your individual sound out of that collective experience. And then more directly to your question, as you start branching off and doing like a 3-hour set, a 4-hour set, which actually in my opinion, is more prevalent now. In the 90s, there was a lot of parties I get booked at. They're like, you're spinning with 3 other DJs, and we're going 10 to 2. That means there's an opening DJ, there's a kind of a second opening DJ, and then there's 2 DJs that are splitting like the 12 to 2 slot. And usually the 12 to 1 is the prime time, and the 1 to 2 is like half prime time and half like wind it up and mop up duty basically, and people are drunk and ready to go home. So you really define your sound both within the set that you're playing, the set time you're playing, and then if you're, as is more common now, if you're playing like a 3 or 4 hour set, being able to carry that whole period of time and bring people through an experience, which I think is really important, like knowing what music sounds good early and what music sounds good later, whether it's tempo, whether it's like genre, whether it's like, male gendered voices, women gendered voices, tempo, all those kind of things. I think those are important things that help you define how you build a set, and how you build a set also largely plays into like what your sound is as a person. Because a lot of DJs can play the 1 to 2 set or the 12 to 1 set and maybe play the hits, or if they're playing at a particular kind of party that's maybe it's like underground Bangla, they know like all the really good underground Bangla. But can that same DJ play the 10 to 11 set when people are coming in, when people aren't really ready to dance, but they're kind of mingling and they're like, ooh, there's only 20 people here. I don't want to start dancing because I might look like a weirdo. I always encourage DJs to be like, no, I'll play the opening set. Yeah, I love playing opening sets. I think that's an art. And I also think there's an art to playing the very, very last set. And of course, the more like peak hour sets. But all those things I think help define your sound as a DJ, because yes, if you're playing at a mainstream party, there's probably certain songs that you're going to play during the primetime sets that other DJs would play. But the way you put your spin on it, how you mix the songs, are you dropping them? Are you using the mic? Are you playing an edit? Are you playing the original and then the edit and back to the original? Are you completely going away from what you might play and also playing kind of recognizable stuff, but like playing a slow jam set at 1:30 so people can grind till the end of the night? There's lots of different directions you can take to kind of make people be like, Zainab, I might not know exactly what they're going to do, but they're going to do some interesting shit. Yeah. And it's going to be relatable to you. You can always tell when a DJ is playing outside of their comfort zone. Yeah. You've been there and you've been like, oh, the music's cool, but like, the DJ doesn't look like they're into it, and I'm not saying you got to be up there DJing and breakdancing, but stick to what's comfortable, stick to what's in your skill set, and also don't be afraid to have fun with it. I think like putting a detailed set together sometimes can sound a little too mechanical, and don't be scared to like, once you get that part down, kind of like veer from it, let the song play a little longer. If it feels like the crowd's into it and you're like, well, I was gonna mix out, but people are really gigging right now, don't be afraid to, let the crowd give you the feedback. Last thing I'm gonna say, there's a good feedback. A good DJ obviously is a good crowd reader, but within reading the crowd, there's so many different things you can read, right? Like, there's like a dance pit right in front of you, but there's like 100 people standing around the wall like this. Like, you can make that decision. Well, we're gonna get this dance pit bigger, or you could be like, most of the people ain't feeling where I'm at, so I'm gonna gradually kind of shift the direction. And if people are giving you energy back, that should feed you. So you can't be, I don't feel like you should as a DJ be kind of closed off to the energy that's coming from the room. Because that just doesn't make sense, because it's a community event, but also like I think it's gonna make your set better because you're kind of feeding off the energy. Sometimes people come to the club angry. Sometimes people come to the club sad. You don't really know that, and you're coming to the club with a different mentality, and a good DJ meets the crowd halfway. If that makes sense.
That is.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, thank you for that. Awesome. So you're talking about comfort zones a little bit there towards the end. One of the questions I actually had was all about comfort zones. How much, not just as a DJ, but as an artist, do you prioritize exiting your comfort zone? Also, I guess just as a person too, whichever direction you want to talk about it. But how do you do that? Tell us, like, sometimes it worked for you, sometimes it didn't. Because I feel like you have some funny stories with that.
Yeah, well, so I should be completely honest. Like, I'm a person who, I don't think I've ever experienced the comfort zone ever in my life. I'm a person who has like very strong anxiety, something I struggle with. I'm a person who struggles sometimes with my confidence. I'm a person who very much grew up in a community where rap music is around, but I'm not a black person, and I always was an outsider in that community. And it was a community and a music that I felt like was very natural in a lot of ways, because all my friends and my community listened to it, but also like it was something I was aware. I was like, I'm a guest here. I'm not someone who has any entitlement to this. And so I think even more so as a DJ, I feel I consistently feel uncomfortable. This is actually interesting because I never really realized this before now, but I think my comfort as a DJ, and in many ways as a person, is based on the comfort of the reception that I get when I DJ. So if I'm not doing a good job, or if I feel like I'm DJing fine, like my mixes are clean, but the crowd isn't into it, that's an uncomfortable feeling that's going to stick with me probably even past my next DJ gig, but certainly until it. But in terms of uncomfortability, yeah, like I think you have to fight through it. Like I said, I struggle with it probably more than the average person, but I think also it can be used to push you. It can be used to kind of keep you like constantly pushing yourself. You asked earlier, and I didn't really answer about sort of reinvention. I think those two things can be tied together, of never feeling like, I got this, I'm good now. Joe just called me a legend, I'm good, like there's a lot of DJs my age, and I feel like they're still playing a lot of the same music we was all playing in the 90s. And I don't feel like I am one of those DJs, and I don't feel like I ever could be one of those DJs, because I'm too interested in music, I'm too interested in what young people are listening to, and I'm not ever secure enough to feel like I got my knowledge of what I want to play as a DJ. That's all there is. I know it's scary thinking about all the new music that's coming out, but to me, I don't think I ever want to be fully comfortable as a DJ because I just feel like I would just kind of harden or ossify and just get stiff, and I would not be as receptive both to music and also to feedback from other people about ways to be a better DJ and be a better person. So yeah, I don't think I really answered your question.
I think you did.
If you want to hear a funny story about when I was insecure, I mean, it's every day for me. I DJed on, this is like not funny, this is embarrassing, but I'm gonna share it anyway. DJed on Shade 45 on Sway's show. So I flew out to New York, I was out there, I got invited to DJ on Sway's show, which is a big deal, and they have, 2-3 million listeners, something like that. It's live mix, I was mixing live, it's on satellite radio, there's millions of people listening, and we do this little intro interview, and then I go in with my set, and I used the effect. I had a little brain fart, and I forgot to turn the effect off. It was like a knob. I forget what mixer I was using. It was a knob, and instead of turning the effect off, I just kind of had a brain fart, and I was like, I don't know how to make the effect stop. And it was just like, and it was like live on the air, and I just it was live on the air, and I got so freaked out, and I just went into like panic mode because of my anxiety. Because I'm the type of person that's not gonna be like, okay, let's calmly figure this out. My brain was just like, it left my I left my head. So Sway comes back in the studio, and he's like, what's going on? And DJ Wonder had to like cut the feed and like play other music. And Wonder comes over, I'm like, I don't know what happened. He's like, oh, you just gotta turn the effect off. And I got back on and DJ, but I'm telling you, this is like 10 years ago. I still have nightmares about this. It's just like, sort of like performance anxiety. So yeah, I would say believe in yourself and remember that like it's not all about you, and I think that'll help you avoid those situations. But I'm a like walking, talking, breathing example of like someone who is literally never able to do that. And it is a little self-centered to be like, it's so about me that people are tripping. I get that, but yeah, for me, it's just like, it's been hard to find spaces where I feel comfortable, but I think over my DJ career, I've tried to use that to kind of just push myself, to be better, to change, to switch up, to learn more, to never be like, I got this, I'm good, even though I think if I felt like I got this, I'd probably be a better DJ. If that makes sense.
That is. And I mean, I asked that because I was curious, because I feel like anyone who seeks personal growth, that's when you understand the relationship between being in your comfort zone and exiting it.
Yeah.
So I asked that thinking kind of on that end, and then you brought up that you're always anxious. And I relate to that a lot because I'm constantly anxious. I started 2 years ago. So in that time, as I got more skilled, everyone was kind of like, once you know what you're doing, you're not as anxious. To me, I'm like, no, I still am leading up to that moment, during it. And for me, it was something that I wondered, and that's why anytime I kind of have the opportunity to ask a DJ that's been DJing a long time, a veteran, a legend, I always think well, does that go away, or do you just learn how to lean into that? What do you say has been your biggest weakness, or maybe it's a strength, maybe it's both, that has shaped you as a DJ?
That's a really good question, and I appreciate you asking it, because that's probably, a lot of DJs like, what do you mean my weakness is? I have that, I'm a very weak DJ in many ways. It's hard for me to pick one. I think there are a lot of technical weaknesses I have, but I think more than anything, emotional struggles with anxiety and depression have been the hardest for me as a DJ. Showing up and being expected to either be the life of the party or be expected to play party music when I feel like playing Sade, or being expected to interact with people in a way that's perky and polite when maybe I feel like this person owes me money or shit like that. I think that's been the most challenging thing, is sort of the politics of the game a little bit. Navigating nightlife where, alcohol is a big part of what fuels nightlife. Maybe it's shifting a little, hopefully it's shifting. And navigating that space. Yeah, I think as I've gotten older, I have probably grown a little more confident and well, this is who I am. Not everyone's gonna like me, but I feel like most people respect me because they know where I'm coming from is based on some kind of principle of some kind. I'm not the DJ that everyone likes, but I'm definitely not the DJ that people are like, well, he just changes with the trends, or he just smiles and kisses everybody. Everyone's cool with him. I don't think I could ever be that dude. And I think I'm okay now at my big age of not being that dude. I think you know, in the early 2000s, I think I really wanted to like everyone to like me. But I was like, people don't like me. And they're like, well, that's because you call that DJ sexist. And I'm like, yeah, that's true, but they are sexist. And they're like, well, you shouldn't have said that. Like, you should just like, you know, not said it on Twitter or something. And I'm just like, yeah, I guess so. But it's like, I'm struggling with like my beliefs about the world, and I don't separate my DJ identity from that. And I feel like I'm not trying to like little dog you, but I feel like your generation or this generation of DJs has been much better about foregrounding the politics, so that there isn't that sense of like you have to separate yourself when you go DJ at a club, or when there's unethical behavior or abusive behavior happening in the nightlife community. You're able, like, I feel like your community, like I'm thinking about Stacks and people like that really foreground the politics of the music.
Positive music.
Yeah. So yeah.
Earlier we were talking about your kind of approach when it comes to teaching DJing.
Yeah.
Then you were talking about how you think part of it is learning not just the history of DJing, but the genres that go behind it, right? Like in terms of hip hop. Then you kind of went into talking about DJing as a form of social movement. So tell me more about that.
It's kind of like if you want to teach someone to read, right? And you can like teach them the alphabet and then how to write the words. But I guess I'm a person who's just like, what is the purpose of language? That's like, I'm the type of person that wants to know that question. And like, why am I being taught English when that wasn't a language that was taught in this region 500 years ago, 600 years ago? I think those questions are valid, and I think, at least for me personally, having a way to think about those other kind of meta, bigger level questions partially determine the path I would take as a writer and also as a DJ. If you understand that like people use written language to assail their government or critique their government versus like people that write love letters to people. I think there's like knowing different ways that language can be used. So I'll stop with the metaphor now, but as far as DJing, the paths that DJs have taken to create music, I think especially in hip hop, but also like in terms of dance music and disco, where, you know, really what we think of as modern day mixing started in primarily queer black spaces in New York City. I think that like some of that stuff has been stripped out, and I also think that like the way that those communities were formed in underground spaces that weren't bottle service clubs, it wasn't Las Vegas, it was people that needed a safe space to hear music and be together, where there was some sense of like collectivism, which is not what we feel in a lot of nightclubs, at least in the mainstream now. I feel like that's an important part of the role the DJ plays, because if you say we're throwing a party and we need someone to play music, to me that's a different thing than saying our community needs a space to be together and to celebrate and to love, because the world is fucked up. There's a lot of overlap, right? But like it's not exactly the same thing. And I think the second format puts a lot more responsibility on the DJ to think about the kind of community and culture that they're an important part of and the kind of music they're providing. Whereas the first one, to me, feels a little bit more like just make people dance, we need people to keep drinking. We don't want people to leave, so just keep playing popular shit, you know? Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, like I said, it's a Venn diagram and there's a lot of overlap, but I've always leaned towards more the second way. And in terms of like your question about teaching DJing, I do hope that they're teaching what the original DJ came out of. Like, who was that person and what were they trying to do as a DJ? Were they just like, I love music and I want to scratch records? Or was there like a social, cultural, and political context to that that we need to understand? And I do think that given this country's history, especially, and how that filters out through music, I think for me it's very foundational to like teaching DJing to include that stuff, because we should be creating anti-racist DJs. We should be creating DJs that understand what it means to be in alliance with queer communities. We need to be creating DJs that understand what sexism and patriarchy is, and how to like not just like oppose it online, but to actively oppose it in the DJ booth. Because I see a lot of DJs that say one thing online, and then when they're in the booth with a femme DJ, it's a very different vibe, you know what I mean? So all those things. So yeah, I'll get off the soapbox, but yeah, I think those things are important in terms of like developing younger DJs. But I also understand that it's a hustle, and some DJs are like, I run an academy or I teach DJs, and it's important that they learn the foundational skills, and then it's up to them to take it where they want to take it. But I feel like if you don't give them that socio-political, cultural history, they might not even know that that's a road that's available to them. So this is my opinion. Right. Mac Mall.
This is my opinion. This is my opinion.
That's a great question, though.
Yeah, and I mean, what you just kind of described, it's like the difference between acquiring skills versus learning and participating in an art.
Yeah, there it is. I could have just said it that way.
That's pretty much like, because I always see DJing as a form of art. I don't see it as a science, because if you see it as a science, you're just thinking numbers and you're thinking like technical skills of like, can I beat match? Can I like go down the checklist of things I can do?
Yeah, I mean, you're thinking algorithm really at its essence, which is like runs our world, and we've seen how negative that can be. So
right. So I relate. Like, I think it's so important to establish the historical context of what we learn as DJs.
I think skills are also very important. So I'm not trying to say skills aren't important. I think it's the two, for me.
Definitely.
I think it's definitely foundation, having all the skills and having all the practice and having all the, bars and years under the belt. But again, it's also how creative you are with it, and Domino Effect DJs, everything we push out there is we really want to come in to the mindset, into the music with, don't just play music, play with music. And then, you know what I mean? You can go from genre to genre. You don't have to be one just square, pinhole in one scene. But you can do many as an open format, and that really helps you as a DJ to understand socially people out in the world. And you see people coming that either gravitate or are repelled by your style or your music or your selection, and again, it's one of those things. I could scribble something on the wall and someone would be like, that's graffiti, I hate it. And the next person would be like, that's dope as hell, how you do that?
How you do that? You like that? Yeah.
So we definitely appreciate you and putting in the time and the efforts. I always look up to you as a DJ and as a pillar in the community. So
likewise, bro.
Hats off to you and salute to you, bro. I'm just always honored and humbled to have you in the building, man. I think we have time. Can we do one more question? You got one more question?
Yeah.
Is that okay? One more question, and then we'll hit a tune.
I'll try to be brief.
I'll
be yapping. I try to warn you. I'll be yapping.
I don't want the brief. I want the full length. So
give it a yap.
Yes, I came here prepared to yap. Do you have any recurring feelings, messages, or emotions that you try to put into your sets? And I mean, obviously, you might not have recording. It might be something unique every single time, but what do you strive for?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's unique every single time. Really, over the last 5 years since COVID really kind of shut stuff down, I was really in a space where I was like, I don't know if DJing is really going to happen. Like I was telling y'all earlier, the Twitch thing wasn't for me. Now you know why I'm like very kind of anxious and self-conscious, and having people look at me while I DJ was like highly uncomfortable for me. I want people to just focus on the music. So coming back into it and really now DJing probably more than I ever have in my life, I really wanted to sort of plot my sets out more. I really am I'm not a set planner. I'm like a come to the party, feel the vibe, have a shot of Hennessy, see how it feels, and then just go in and use my brain. And as I get older, my brain it's not quite as, and so I started planning my sets out more. And so yes, every set is unique to the space, and when I'm planning them ahead of time, for the most part, I'm thinking about what would be the different directions I could go. But on the broader level, which I think is more what you're getting at, is I want the sets to uplift people. Even if I'm playing a very, very hood rap set, I want the sounds. I want people to feel good when the music is playing, and sometimes that means a song that might kind of bring the vibe down, but then bringing it back up, it's taking them through different sort of ups and downs. But I think if people are leaving the club in an angry state, or just hearing B word over and over again, or whatever it is, that's just not me. I don't have any criticism, honestly, of any other DJ that does that, because I've seen DJs that just play the most I'm gonna beat you over the head, even techno music that's just it really sounds like it's gonna be a bunch, and the crowds are into that, and people are into what they're into. So, but just for me, I think there's always been almost bordering on cringe, sort of let's feel good, I I think that kind of goes with my brand a little bit as a DJ and just as a person. Just the kind of like, I'm pushing for us as a community to be better, to think better, and to not, you know, to at least take this space where we're in the nightclub to like uplift a little bit, you know?
Well, thank you so much for sharing. It was an honor to be able to interview you. And
it was an honor to be talked to, interviewed.
And beyond that too, I felt very seen by everything you were saying. Like, it really clicked a lot for me personally with like anxiety. That clicked hard.
Yeah.
But even just hearing your greater perspective, it gives a huge sense of togetherness, that there's people that understand they're fighting the good fight. They're understanding what it means to be in charge of sound and using that to power through connecting people together. And that's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been great talking to you guys. And thank you for having me. It really, honestly, is an honor. Especially to be in South San Francisco.
Oh man, big time amazing. I'm telling you, man, this is an honor for me in the studio. Having y'all in here really makes it come alive. And this was just a brainchild. It was an idea, and we were like, let's do it. And here we are. We're on Twitch. We're doing it live. Hey man, really honored to have you here.
Likewise. Thank you, Joe.
We're gonna have you play one more.
Okay.
And then we're gonna switch off the show. We are not done. We go till 3 p.m. We got DJ Zainab in the building. Jae Coca's in the building. And the GOAT, the one and only. Let's go, DJ SakeOne. Flashback Friday, you're in the building. This is DJ Laser1. We're about to make a little switchy switch. Let's go. Hope you're having fun.